In international news, Al-Jazeera network has accused Israel of systematically targeting and killing journalists. Well, this follows the death of an Al-Jazeera cameraperson who was killed by Israeli military. More than 70 journalists have died while covering the war, in turn making it the most dangerous period for the profession in 31 years, according to the Committee to Protect Journalists. Kizia Masha has more.
In the wake of intensifying the Israel-Hamas war that began on October 7, the Gaza government media office said at least 87 journalists have been killed in the ongoing Israeli military campaign in the Gaza Strip.
I can tell you that
the Israeli government spokesperson, however, last week stated he was not aware of investigators' findings that an Israeli tank fire had killed and wounded journalists.
I'm not familiar with these specific reports, but of course the guiding principle of Israel's campaign against Hamas is that we uphold the principles of international law regarding proportionality, necessity, distinction. We target Hamas, we do not target civilians, and we've been doing everything possible to get civilians out of harm's way while we go after the terror monsters who perpetrated the October 7th massacre.
The camera person identified as Samer Abu Daka was hit by an Israeli drone strike on Friday, while reporting on the earlier bombing of a school used as shelter for displaced people in the southern Gaza Strip. The father of four later succumbed to his injuries while receiving treatment in Al Nasser Hospital and was laid to rest today. Various human rights organizations have condemned the Israel Defense Forces for targeting non-combatants.
Israel is obligated to investigate and hold members of its military accountable for this crime. In terms of an international court that can prosecute this crime as a war crime, unfortunately, neither Lebanon nor Israel are signatories to the Rome Statute, which means we're not members of the International Criminal Court.
British Foreign Secretary David Cameron and US President Joe Biden also called upon Israel to exercise caution in their operations.
What journalists do in war zones, and I've seen it with the BBC and the reporting that they've done, and ITV and other British journalists, it's absolutely essential that you have independent, impartial, professional journalists covering these conflicts.
I want them to be focused on how to save civilian lives. Not stop going after Hamas, but be more careful.
The international humanitarian law bars obstruction from journalists who have the full scope of protection granted to civilians and cannot be considered military targets. Kizia Masha, Citizen TV.